Hello, everyone. Today we're going to be going over how to get started with the Cirrus Rainbird Central Control irrigation software. Um, I am Andrew Smiley. I'm here with Justin Patterson, Zach Hishka, Brady Davidson, and Cole Miller. And we're going to give you a rundown on how to get started and how to add stations to the database. This is going to be a bit of a series of how-to videos as we progress along here, but the first video is going to cover those two topics. So to get started, once you've opened up your software from your browser, first thing you're going to want to do on this page is click the startup process. And that's going to take you right here. So this little browser's here. Obviously, first select your language. Today we're going to speak English, so we'll go continue. Then you're going to put in your golf course name. Our golf course name today will be Olds College. We'll continue there. Then it's going to ask you a little bit about your system information. We're going to go through a little bit of this here, and then we'll show you how to do everything else manually. So we'll hit continue here. Our units of measurement are going to be US gallons per minute. This is our flow capacity. So this is the pump specs that we have on our property here at Olds College. We have 1,200 gallons per minute, so we've got that inputted as well. Once you get to setting up system tables, this is where we're going to hit bypass, and then we'll go start doing things manually to show everyone how that works. So I'll go ahead and hit bypass. From here, we're going to jump into our system settings. So some of these are already filled out, but we do have to confirm that everything's done. Let's go into system settings. So the first page that you're going to see here is this little icon up here. This is the hardware you're using. So there's a few different types of irrigation systems. Obviously, this is going to show you 2-wire, pretty common. Link systems, those are common as well. Decoders, ICI, and wireless rotors. Our system, we're running a decoder system. So to set a decoder, you click those 3 dots there. Brings up this page. All you got to do is hit OK, and that'll lock in the fact that we're doing decoders. The next step is to go up here for international settings. So we've already gone through this with our startup page, so we can skip ahead, but this is just confirming that we're doing English and US gallons per minute. Next one is flow capacities. Again, we've already done that. If you wanted to add another pump, you can just go to Flow Manager here, right-click, right-click on the Flow Manager tab there and hit Add a Pump. We should be able to if we were not recording right now, input another pump, I believe. Anyways, no big deal because we've already got our pump system in there. Next step would be system data tables. However, at this point, we don't need to do that right now, so we're just going to skip this step and we'll come back to it later in one of our next videos. Area definition tables. Now, these are very important. As you can see, we've already inputted some areas on our golf course: greens, tees, approaches, and rough. But you might find that you need more areas than that. One thing we haven't inputted yet is our green surrounds. So I'm going to go ahead and put the area handle for S for surrounds. And then in here you just type surrounds. However, as you can tell, because we're recording, can't type that in, so we'll just leave it as the default S. Next step is to go to default data settings. This is what it's going to tell you how long by default each area's irrigation is going to run at the standard rate. So the first step is to do default runtime data. We've already inputted our default runtimes here for 10 minutes. We've chosen 10 minutes just because it's easy to use percentages off of 10 minutes. For example, 150% of 10 minutes is pretty easy to determine that it's 15 minutes. If you wanted to change that, you simply just hop in the box and change the number of minutes there. Once again, I can't type in boxes right now, so we're just going to leave that like that. And I'm going to throw it over to Justin, who's going to talk about our default rotor settings.
All right, thank you, Andrew. So as you can see here, this tab will light up. This is our default rotor data tab. So we're going to click that. And so what you can see here is in the rotor types, these are basically the types of sprinkler heads we're running. So for our greens and tees, we're running the Rainbird 700 series. So if I click this, hit the drop-down menu, you can see here's the 700 series. And we're running the number 40 orange nozzles in these, which brings our GPM to 31.90. Click OK, which you can see there in our flow rotor GPM. Another thing to pay attention to is in our approach and rough, we're obviously running different heads. So you'd select those in the same way. Go in here, find the 900 series, and you can see at 80 psi, that brings us to 37.10 GPM. And then over here, this little tab here, is our rotors and sprinklers per station. So all of our green heads are run through a single station, while our tees, approach, and rough are all linked together into stations. Okay, so now that I've walked you through that process, I'll quickly see if I can input some data for our surrounds. So I'll click this box, click the drop down. We'll be running the 900 series heads. There it is. And like I said, we're running the orange nozzle at 80 psi. So we'll click OK. So show up there. This one is also running 2 on one station. So once all the data is updated and inputted, we will hit the import data. So from there we'll click all areas, all sub areas, and all data. And then we will then hit OK. And so this is basically what this is going to do is take everything from here and update it throughout the rest of the system. So now if I hit close that, I will now hand it off to my colleague Brady, who will walk you through the station detail.
Thank you, Justin. I'm now going to get into talking a bit about the station detail here. So basically in the upper left corner here showing which hole we're actually on. So for hole 1, and we've got all areas selected here of our golf course that we are going to be irrigating. And we've got, so for hole 1 we've got around the green we've got 5 stations, all ran off their own decoder. And the decoder type they're going to be using is the 1-FD102, and the gallons per minute is going to be 31.9 with the Rainbird 700 series orange nozzle running at 80 psi. So that's kind of all the data that we implemented with Justin just a moment ago showing, and then these numbers right along here are just the number of rotors we're using. So the one showing there meaning we're only having the one router per sprinkler head. And to kind of show you guys how to add another, so say we wanted to add an approach, we'd go over to approaches, we'd click the add station, and then it'll just bring up right away your 1A1, so that stands for 1 approach 1, again being the single decoder type, the 1-FD102. And since this one is actually running at off 2 stations, the Eagle 900 series, that's going to double your gallons per minute, which is now 74.2. So if you were running off of 2 decoders as it shows over here, you're going to want to manually change that to the FD202, and that'll now bring up, showing that it's running off 2, the Eagle 900 series will double your US gallons per minute to be now 74.2.
Okay, just going through a couple more things in the station details here. We have our default runtime set for 10 minutes. So if we have a station that's a little bit drier, for whatever reason it's a high spot, just extra windy there, then we'll change the evapotranspiration adjust percentage. So if it's 120% here, then instead of running for 10 minutes, we're going to be running for 12 minutes. This is our weather station number, so if you have separate weather stations out there, you can connect to those ones if it's going to be a little more accurate for you. This will be your cycle time. So if you, like, we have sandy greens, so we won't really be needing to do this, but if you did have a different texture of greens where the water wasn't quite infiltrating as quick, then you could have a soak time here. So for every 5 minutes, it's going to soak for 60 minutes. And over here, all the way at the end, we have our precipitation rate. So you'd be putting that in individually for each head, showing how much water it's putting down.
And that was our how-to video on the Rainbird Nimbus system. We went over system settings and station details this week. Next week we're going on to program details. Stay tuned for that video.